Hello everyone, this is the recap and we are back with volume 7. This is volume 7 of Love Island the game, the recap, and today we're going to be talking about what happened this week in Love Island the game All-Stars. Thank you so much everyone for being here today. I am so appreciative of you all for watching the live streams, and if you aren't a live stream watcher and you just like to watch the recaps, hello and welcome in. I'm going to try and go over everything that happened this week on episodes 1, 2 and 3, otherwise known as, I think, 19, 20, 21 of Love Island the game All-Stars, so let's get into it. The first thing that happens when we come into Love Island this time round is we see what the boys are like, who they are, what they look like, what they're wearing, and I really like them. These are our Casa Amor boys. Obviously, with the returning characters, we have Marshall, who is Ozzy's twin, back from Double Trouble. I didn't realize Ozzy had a twin because I never got that far into it. We also have Cassius, who looks amazing. And of course, we have Stefan back, who looks pretty incredible, if I do say so myself. And finally, we get hit with an even bigger jump scare than Stefan. I think we all felt that Stefan was coming. Did we feel like this character was coming? Do I recognize him? Oh, and this is Lyle. What is wrong? Surprised to see me? Iris, you know this guy. Me and Iris may have had a little romantic beach rendezvous. I thought we had a good time, even if she didn't choose to send me back. I lost, I guess. She missed her chance. And this time, I'm back for good. Lyle is back. Yes. The one and only Lyle is back in the villa. And do you know what? I'm kind of happy about it. I'm glad he's back, and he really starts to prove who he is over this episode as well. Immediately after we see Lyle, someone gets their claws in him, and Kat makes it very, very clear that she's into him. And over the course of the episodes as well, she keeps dropping like these negative bits of information about how she wishes that we'd have picked Lyle to come back to the villa instead of Jude. Does she not know that we're happily coupled up with Jude? That's what I don't quite understand about what's going on. And that's when we get straight into a challenge. This is Fire or Dire, where we have to hold up poop emoji or fire emoji to tell us how much we agree with something. Nothing really comes out too much in this conversation other than the fact that we really need to get a grip on what the poop emojis are about. So we just keep seeing them. As soon as this happens, as soon as we finish Fire or Dire, everyone grabs everyone else for a chat. Kat grabs Lyle, obviously, and Natasha grabs Stefan. And I'm not gonna lie, I reacted quite harshly to this in the stream. Long time no see, Stefan. Fancy a quick catch up? Natasha, you rat! He's my ex! We catch up first! Sounds good. Stefan, you bigger rat! Stefan turns to you before he goes. We should chat later, yeah? But we get to go and see who we want to pick around the villa to chat to, and we decide to go for a private chat with Marshall. Now, Marshall is definitely my type on paper, but you guys have clued me in on who he was in Double Trouble, which is someone who basically let the MC fall for him, and then he rejected us to go for our twin, and then tried to come back to us when our twin rejected him. So he's not necessarily the nicest person, but hey, redemption arcs exists. Hamish is in the game, right? And this is the first gem option that we had the option to pick. We didn't go for it, but there was some tea, which is basically, Marshall told us that Ozzy was married. How amazing is that? So that means it keeps the canon, because it didn't say anything apart from Ozzy has a wife. So if you ended the season with Ozzy, there's a good chance you're married now, whether or not you like it. We did have this chat with Marshall as well about Jude. He came up, and Marshall was sticking up for Jude as well, which is really nice to see. I really liked this chat. It actually gave me some good feelings about Marshall, but I don't think we're going to go down anything else. Then we started talking to Cassius, and we told Cassius that we are loyal to Jude. And I really think we are going to stick with Jude. We're going to be loyal. I'm loyal, babes. Please. Please. Cassius, over the course of these episodes, seems like such a good guy. Like, so nice. So, like, I just want to give him a hug. Like, I feel like him and Iris could be besties. I don't think it's going to go further romantically, but I think they are going to be besties. I really like that. After this point, we found out that Nat was actually speaking to Stefan because she was basically saying, maybe back off as well. Back off of us, because Natasha is kind of developing as this very protective person, and also quite possessive. I don't know if that's the intention. I think that's kind of just what's coming along with it, but she is quite protective over us, and she won't quite let us go, and she definitely doesn't want us to fall into Stefan's hands. I kind of want to feel like in my head canon about this situation is she knows we're into Jude, she knows we're into her, she knows we're kind of getting pulled a little bit by Hamish's direction as well, and she's like, well, she's definitely not getting pulled by Stefan. We also have a scene in the dressing room, and Kat is pushing us and pushing us and pushing us to get to bed as quickly as possible, and I think it's because she wants to get with Lyle, because just moments before, when we were searching around the village trying to find people to talk to, Kat and Lyle were pretty much on top of each other making out. So she moves on fast, that's what I can say. And Cassius definitely looks very, very nice shirtless. So that had me a little bit speechless. And we chose to go to bed alone, which I'm very grateful that we did decide to do. But I was not the only person who decided to go to bed alone. Stefan also decided to go to bed alone, but Kelly slept in the same bed as Cassius. Kat slept in the same bed as Lyle, no surprises there. And Nat chose to be in the same bed as Marshall. And that is where episode 1 ended. Before I get into episode 2, I just want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you to some wonderful people in chat who donated today and therefore helped me to keep streaming and making this content full time. If you can't ever donate, that's absolutely okay. Just by watching the ads or by having YouTube Premium, you help to keep me on this content creation journey. So I am so, so grateful for that. But I do want to say a massive thank you to the donations from Tearsong today, Mike, Cheese, Joey, Marta, and also May, who donated $50. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the donations, everyone. I appreciate it so, 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 so much. It does help me to stay in my place. I literally use all of my donations on rent, so I appreciate it so, so, so much. Thank you. It means a lot. And I could not do this without you. We moved on to episode 2 and we immediately had a chat with Stefan. He didn't even let us wake up. He was like, hey, hi. Do you wanna, should we go for a chat right now? Yep. Okay. And we had a chat where Stefan told us that he had basically written us a letter that we had never seen. We never got this letter, but it also had a surprise in it. And at first I was like, no, I don't want to spend the gems. I don't want to find out what it was, because it was a 17 gem option, but I did want to know what the surprise was. So this is what happened. I wrote about where I was at the time, what I've been up to, how I felt about you. So I wrote you a letter, except I'm not the best with words. I thought I'd surprise you with what I do best. And I drew a picture of you. Of me? Yeah, remember that beach day we had? The one where you were too nervous to talk for the most of it? Yeah, that one. I remember it clearly. Mainly the way you looked in that dress, the ocean waves crashing behind you. So I drew that, and then on the back of that, I sort of poured my heart out to you. What did you say? Oh, you know, just sort of rambled about my favorite memories together. First date, our last date, how cute you look when you wake up in the morning. He looks at you playfully. Just one more thing that hasn't changed. Is that all? Oh, and the thing about you being the one that got away. I wrote about that too. Next, we moved on to Risque Races. Now, it's actually called this, but I'm not allowed to say this because Joey will explode. So we call it Risque Races. I've written something that I don't understand. Oh, Lyle delivered this absolute zinger of a line. I think this is brilliant. But who's the wildest boy? Cat makes a beeline for Lyle. I swear Marshall is the wildest. I am the wildest man in the room, as long as it's not too crowded. And Risque Races is basically where we go head-to-head, Casa Amor versus the Villa, to do some certain tasks, and whoever does it first wins a party. Now, we'll get onto the party in just a second, but it starts off, Iris and Stefan have to get into a saucy position, a very sexy position, and we get into doggy style. We do it super, super fast, but we did have that awkward moment of, like, being with our partner, and we haven't really spoken in a long while, so that was slightly awkward. Cassius and Iris then had to do a dance together, which went a little something like this. Cassius takes your hand and spins you around, then turns you so your back is against him. You move your hips and drop it down low. Cassius's hands holding your waist as you whip your back up and turn to face him. Damn, is it getting hot in here? And then they came back and were coupled up again to do some press-ups together, which went like this. Want to get on the floor with me, Iris? Oh, sure. We don't have time to waste here, obviously. Quick, let's do some reps. Yes, coach. You lie on your back as Cassius climbs on top of you. What? His spectacularly muscled, sculpted arms rest on either side of you, biceps flexing as he rests his weight on his hands. He flashes you a sexy smirk as he leans back into you and pulls himself back up. You breathe in his aftershave, watching the muscles of his upper body expand and retract. Finally, he jumps to his feet and helps you up. We should, do this again at the gym or wherever you want, which were very, very lovely. I actually really like Cassius, and in a different world, if Jude and Stefan weren't there, Cassius would definitely be someone I go for. Then Nat and Iris had to do a little bit of a doggy style look. There's a lot of doggy style in this game. I'm not saying anything more than that, but Natasha told us to get on our knees, and I was like, okay. Basically what we learned from this, if you weren't Iris, you're probably gonna lose this challenge. We won all of ours, I think. I'm not sure about the first one with Stefan, but we won most of our challenges. Now, at the end of this episode, there was a gem option that popped up, 10 gems. Do we want to win the party? Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. If we go for the 10 gem options, we do get a winner's party, which is amazing. If we don't go for the gems, we get the loser's party, which is exactly the same, just with a different background. So just something to keep in mind. I personally feel like Iris is competitive and she would have gone for that option. To do that winning option as well, we clicked the 10 gems and she went for Stefan. I think she had to kiss whoever she thought was the most attractive in the villa. I can't quite remember what the challenge was, but we kissed Stefan on the cheek, which was really lovely. There were 3 options. It was a snog, it was a peck, and it was a kiss on the cheek. And I'm really glad we had the option to go for this one. After the challenge, we had a girls debrief, and we did say that we got a bit rattled by the idea that Jude could be messing around with other girls in the villa. It is what it is. There's nothing we can really do about it at this point. At the end of the girls debrief, Lyle comes up to us and steals us away for a chat. And Kat is absolutely livid. She is beside herself. This is right in front of Kat. But he takes us away into the kitchen and he apologizes for being so aggy and so upset about the fact that we didn't choose him. He says things must happen for a reason because he's come back into the villa and he's found Kat. And she is an absolute worldie. And it's a really sweet moment where he talks about how much he likes Kat, only for things to go wrong in just a second. Lyle asks us who we're most interested in the villa, and there are 3 options. Cassius, Stefan, and Marshall. I would like to pick none of the above because I really feel like Iris is going to stay loyal to Jude, but that wasn't an option, so I selected Cassius. And immediately after we did that, Kat marched over to us, asked what we were doing, and we said we're just having a chat. She got quite angry, stormed off, and immediately pulled Cassius for a chat. So Kat is being her normal self yet again. And instead of being here at the right time to hear us talk about how much Lyle and Kat belong together, she only heard the bad things. Why are we not surprised? Following on for that, the boys pull us for a chat where we have Stefan and Marshall, which leads into episode 3. Stefan and Marshall are talking to us about this really important information. This is information about Jude that we must know, just as I'm about to see whether or not this is going to be a gem option. The end of the episode happens. So the next episode is called Spilled Secrets. We find out from the boys straight away when we get into this episode. We don't have to pay anything. We get this information for free. Hamish felt guilty about what happened back in the villa with Natasha. I think he probably should feel guilty, to be completely honest, but it's a really good job that he is actually feeling it and he's having those emotions. We get dressed and Kat throws salty quip after salty quip at us, and you know what? We just think it's not worth it. It is not worth it. We then go down to our winner's party. It's a really nice atmosphere. It's so nice. We decide to have a dance and we can dance with Cassius. So we can choose to dance alone or dance with Cassius, and we pick to dance with Cassius. We dance in a fun way. We make shapes on the dance floor. And you lot, don't think I didn't see you making jokes in chat about what shapes you would be dancing in. Tear song and your octagon. I really do think that Cassius and Iris would be just like the best friends, and I really like their vibe together. We then play Spin the Bottle. I'm worried at this point because I don't want to play Spin the Bottle. I'll be totally honest. I want to stay loyal to Jude, but it turns out it's not a Spin the Bottle in terms of it lands on the person you kiss. It lands on the person that has to tell you a sexy secret. We had a few. I'll be honest, this wasn't my favorite time that we've had in the villa or in Casa Amor. It wasn't my favorite. It did keep the episode going, and it was quite a shorter episode anyway. Like overall, it took us about 2 hours and 50 to get through with chatting. Usually it takes us about 3 hours and 30 minutes just for context. We do find out that Daphne flirted, not by name, but she was a makeup artist from the same season as Cassius. Daphne flirted with Cassius when she was in an exclusive relationship. That was something that's probably quite decent to know if you ever go back and play Stick or Twist again. Then we have the option to finally find out this information from the boys. Stefan and Marshall. Lyle is now joining in as well, telling us that we have to know this information. It's 29 gems for gossip. Now, I didn't pick the gem option. I already have picked quite a few gem options this part, and last week's episode, we're not even going to start talking about that. We get some information. Henry, in our playthrough, would have known about Melissa and Hamish during hide and seek, them sleeping together during hide and seek. So Hamish wanted to confess to Natasha how he was feeling and that had happened, and Henry said no, keep it a secret. Henry's already not in my good books, but this is snaky behavior at its finest. Finn was also thinking about leaving the villa, but Jude convinced him to stay. We don't have a timeline on that, so I'm not sure whether or not it was before Finn was flirting very openly with MC in front of Jude. I think it's a bit weird if it was after that point and Jude was convincing him to stay, but Jude's a nice guy and I can see why he'd convince Finn to stay. One of the last things that we found out is that Melissa had asked Jude to see him outside of the villa when everything was finished and they were out of it, and Jude said he would, but with everyone else and not on their own. I don't know whether or not this would have happened to Jude in our playthrough, but it did happen for Noemi, who gave us this information, so thank you so much, Noemi. Also, Jude sees himself being exclusive with the MC, with Iris, which is a really lovely thing to know, especially considering how we left things. And actually, that gem option I do recommend going for, because having the information that Jude would have been exclusive with the MC, I think really would change the way you play if you do decide to go for a loyal route. It's nighttime at this point and we decide once again to sleep alone. And just as we're going off to sleep, we hear Lyle whispering to one of the other boys, and he says that basically he thinks all of the OG boys will twist. Which is not good news for Iris, who is staying loyal to her little Jude, or Big Jude, probably. And then it's also another 17 gems to get to know Cassius, but we passed on that one. Which is when the next morning happens. So much time passed in this Casa Amor day. We played a game called Trust or Lust, which is basically where we got blindfolded and we had to get guided through an inflatable obstacle course, which looks fantastic, by the way. The public voted for who was paired up. So it was Iris and Stefan, Kat and Lyle, Natasha and Marshall, and Kelly and Cassius. And I really think those were very good pairings, by the way, but it was also the same pairings that we had on the first night, which I don't know whether that was a coincidence or not, barring the fact that Iris and Stefan obviously slept separately. And Stefan and Iris proved to be a fantastic team as we get through the whole experience and win, which means that Stefan didn't win, by the way. I don't know why Iris was the one who won out of these two, and it really should have been both of them, but it wasn't. It was Iris. And Iris gets a text that says, hey, because you won, you get to go on a day trip outside of the villas with an OG Love Island villa person. Not from Casa Amor, from the Love Island villa. So immediately I'm kind of thinking maybe it's something to do with Jude, but then that seems too easy to get to meet up with Jude. So I'm really not sure. Marta and Noemi in chat suggested it could be Dougie from the OG villa, but I just don't know. So let me know who you think we could be seeing in the comments down below. That is where the recap ends, because that's the end of the 3 episodes. Do let me know what you think of this part down in the comments below. A massive thank you again to everyone who donated in chat today. You are all absolutely fantastic. So a massive thank you to Mike, Tearsong, Joey, Marta, Cheese, and May. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you. Also, a massive thank you to our wonderful members who are just absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for being members of the channel. You are all so lovely. You can too be a member of the channel should you choose to, just by clicking the link in the description or clicking the join button down below. And it means that you get access to a whole host of emotes and you get to see videos before anyone else on the channel. I've just come back in to say I'm editing right now, and if you're watching this video, I'm live right now over on Twitch. I'm streaming my supportathon, so if you do want to come out and hang out with us, that would be amazing, because it's been my 4 years of streaming on Twitch today, and yeah, I'm just having a really good time over that. I'm doing a Baldur's Gate 3 honor mode run, so if you want to come and say hi, I'd love to have you. I'll see you soon. Back to the video. Thank Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this episode as well. I feel like despite the fact that it was a smaller episode, it feels like the recap was longer. So much happened during all 3 of these parts. Even though it was a shorter episode, there was so much information to digest. So do let me know what you think below. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, subscribe to see more, and turn on your notifications so you know every single time I upload a video. And thank you again. I really appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye everyone!